Up next, no matter what your political affiliation, American politics have been a big topic of discussion across the globe for quite a while now, but particularly since the 2020 presidential election. On today's show, how our future leaders view the world of politics and the change they'd like to see. The Plus Side of Nashville is next.
From the NewsChannel 5 network, this is the Plus Side of Nashville.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tawanda Coleman. Thanks for joining us. Politics is what we've seen in the media and read about in the papers for months now. We've heard a lot of talk about democracy, election fraud, the Electoral College, patriotism, insurrection, inauguration, and impeachment. It's enough to make some of us shake our heads and wish we'd listened better in our high school civics class. And it's enough for a lot of our current students to want to take a hard look at our country and what they want to see and make changes about. My guest today is Amanda Little, who is the founder of Citizenship. Amanda is also an author, a professor of journalism and science writing at Vanderbilt University, and a columnist for Bloomberg. You may have also seen her on numerous national political analyst talk shows. Welcome, Amanda. Thank you for zooming in with us today.
Thank you, Tawanda. I'm so happy to be here.
Absolutely. Well, besides the fact that I love saying the word citizenship, I would love for you to tell folks about this because this is really a unique program.
Thank you. It's really such a pleasure to share this story because we're very new to the world. Citizenship is a media platform for young Americans, teens and tweens, who are interested in civics and politics. And it started out 4 years ago in 2017 when I took my daughter to a march in Washington, D.C., and she was 8 years old at the time, and she was hearing all these people shout, "This is what democracy looks like." And I asked her if she knew the definition of democracy, and of course she did not. And I came home from that experience and thought, you know, I have a responsibility as a parent to support her school and her teachers in teaching civics education and really enhancing that. And I looked into what's happened to civics education, that 41 of 50 states do not require a year or more of civics education to graduate. So I created a group of 25 families. We met on Sunday afternoons in people's living rooms and porches, and it was politically diverse. We had a nonpartisan, sort of post-partisan group of families, and we talked about democracy and how it works. And kids did creative exercises in learning about local and state and national government, and they designed their own flags, and they sang anthems, and they met local politicians. They met newly naturalized citizens and federal judges, and we got to realizing that the adults were learning as much as the kids were.
I get that. So, I totally get that.
Yeah. As you said, we need to revisit civics education. It's something that many of us as adults really didn't engage with. And we see these young people today having such an important defining role in our democracy, and yet they're too young to vote. And so we're not investing enough in them and in preparing them for all these responsibilities they're about to take on.
Right. So you sort of became the civics class for them.
That's right. So we decided to create a kind of homespun civics program, kind of like a Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts for politics. And they learned how the voting system works. They learned how elections and campaigns work. And it was sort of a camp, like a politics camp, but it was nonpartisan and it was in person. And I had to put it aside because I teach, I'm a professor full time. time and a writer and so on. And I couldn't continue with it, but I said, as soon as I have time, we're going to build this into something that can reach families and kids nationally. And so this summer, we saw so many young people engaging around the pandemic and solutions, community-based solutions. Of course, we saw in the Black Lives Matter movement so much youth engagement and leadership. And I began to realize that the voices just needed to be heard and elevated. So we decided to launch Kitizenship as a series of contests, of creative contests, in which we invited young people ages 8 to 12 and 13 to 18. They're in two groups to share their voices and their ideas about what their America looks like. So we asked them to design their own American flags. We asked them to write civic hero stories. We are asking them now in our current contest to make a presidential speech in which they share their vision for America. So we really said, let's step back as adults. Let's listen to their voices and let's elevate and reward these young people for their great ideas.
Yes, because as adults, we're often a little bit jaded, you know, but these are young people that are, and some of them are seeing some of these things happen for the first time. And so we're getting their perspective from someone looking at it through fresh eyes. And through these contests, how many participants did you have, and what were some of the types of things that they wanted to see change about the world or our flag?
We have had hundreds of submissions from all over the country, and we have had some from teachers who engage their entire classroom in one of these exercises. So one social studies teacher might ask their students to write civic hero stories, or an art teacher might invite their students to design an American flag in their vision that expresses their values. So we had one flag that won first place in the 13 to 18 age group. So we were careful because we have quite a big age range. We have we have from 8-year-olds to 18-year-olds who can submit, but we don't want them all to necessarily have to compete with each other. So the 8 to 12-year-olds is one category, and 13 to 18 is another. We had a 14-year-old named Zoe from Los Angeles who won first place in the 13 to 18 category for her flag, and in it she drew an ear of corn that was purple, and it had a ribbon wrapped around it that said, "In our roots we trust." And I want to read you a little bit of what she wrote in her artist statement about this flag, because it's so moving. She said, "I've drawn an ear of blue corn to honor the indigenous peoples of North America. The color of the kernels is a mix of red, white, and blue that we see on our current flag. The colors represent the hardiness, valor, innocence, purity, vigilance, perseverance, and justice of our country. The green of the husk signifies the earth and all that came before us. And the ribbon says, in radicis speramus nobis, which means in our roots we trust in Latin."
Wow. Oh my goodness. Now, how old was she?
14 years old.
Wow.
And we had beautiful submissions from young people. We had a young girl, 9 years old, draw a picture of a flag with sort of the stripes look like kind of rivers of color, and it says that it represents Turtle Island. There's a turtle on where the stars are on the flag, and she said, "The blue stripes are the streams to rivers of our nation flowing into the ocean, origin of all life on earth. Brown and white stripes are the diversity of our ethnic origins, flowing together with red stripes, our common blood." This is a 9-year-old. Oh my goodness.
I mean, that is amazing. Do you think that, well, we've got to take a break, but I'm curious to know, just by being a part of Kitizenship, I wonder if that had any way of sort of helping them shape those thoughts. But we got to take a break, Amanda, but when we come back, let's talk more, and we'll get into more about this amazing social media platform for teens and tweens called Kitizenship.